Let's see. More than half an hour of rambling about an event that's been long gone. That should be enough commentary warm up, shouldn't it? Considering I had to do a second take of this, probably not. Hey airwebs, it's JackitK, and welcome to this month's Pokemon Go Fireside Chat. Hey, I actually pulled it off. Thank you all for your patience. Now, I'm still trying to wrap my mind over how I'm supposed to cover everything that happened in Pokemon Go in a whole month frame. So I probably won't. I'll probably just stick to what's happening, has happened recently, and what's coming up soon. So forgive me if I miss some stuff in between. Maybe we can have more retrospectives to make up for events that I missed. What are retrospectives? Just tune into the end of the podcast to find out. To start off with though, let's open up our handy dandy Go Ranger app and see the current events going on in the game and the stuff coming up in the future. Sound effect tentative to change. Let's see here. Well, we still have Dialga raids going on. Back at the start of March, they introduced a new Gen 4 raid boss, Dialga. It is a Dragon Steel legendary type, and it'll be out in level 5 raids until March 28th, depending on your time zone. Maybe if I get the time, I'll go more into that later. But specifically during this weekend, which unfortunately I get the feeling will be gone by the time I get this up, Rayquaza is around. Rayquaza started on Friday and will go on to Monday. At least in my time zone, that's 4 p.m. to 4 p.m. And it is worth noting that its shiny form will not be available. That's at least what the official presses have said. And considering how this event's been going on already, if they did have shiny Rayquaza, I'm sure we would have heard about it by now. Also, for those of you who do the Sylph League, the Tempest Cup is going on until the end of April. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have brought it up, because I'm not sure if I'm going to have time to talk about it on this particular podcast. But essentially, Sylph Road has their own little tournament that you can set up in your local area once a month. And this particular month is a theme revolving around electric, ice, flying, and ground types. That started on March and goes all the way to April 1st. More so like the end of March, I should say. Maybe next month I'll go more into exactly what the Sylph League is. But moving through this whole current events, yay! It's time to talk about the research breakthrough. Well, I got great news, guys. They changed up the research breakthrough. The bad news, they barely changed the research breakthrough. More good news. For those of you who couldn't get the Reggies, Reggie Ice, Reggie Rock, and Reggie Steel in raids, they are finally available in the box. The bad news, they're mixed in with all the other legendary beasts. And guess what? For those of you shiny hunting, guess what? They replaced the legendary birds with the beasts, so you now have every time you do your 7-day research, you have a random chance to get either a Lugia, a Ho-Ho, a Raikou, an Entei, a Suicune, Reggie Rock, Reggie Ice, or Reggie Steel. I'm sorry if I sound so enthusiastic shooting down this event if you're one of the people that actually like it. I am just a little tired of the whole grab bag concept, not helped by the fact that on the Go Ranger app is listed as the March and April research breakthrough. I'm pretty sure it's just the April research breakthrough though. Where did they get the info that it was 2 months, not 1? Ugh. BRB, I gotta go do some internet searching. Sorry, I thought this cup of water would be enough to get my voice back, but apparently all the heat from the fire coming from upstairs is draining my voice away. If not that, on top of talking. Where are they getting confirmation that it is for 2 months? What am I doing? They have news right on the Pokemon Go app. They didn't even put it on the news. Did they really not even bother updating the news with info on the research breakthrough this month? Does not. Well, I have this Google search on a game press. I've seen a few Bing research results that have say that is for March and April. That's good enough for me, but for the sake of professional journalism, which I'm totally doing right now, let me just go to Pokemon Go Hub and look there. Here we go. Pokemon Go Hub research breakthrough encounters. March and April breakthroughs featuring the Regiduals, Beasts, and what they call legendary duels. And only Lugia and Ho-Ho have shiny variants. Okay. Not sure how I'm going to remember where I cut out the finagling and where I begin what actually goes up on the podcast, but I can sort that out later, I suppose. So yeah, it does go on for 2 months, and I want to confirm this to bring up a point where, if I have to be honest, 2 months actually isn't a bad thing, except for the fact that we've had the majority of these Pokemon for at least a couple months already. I know Ho-Ho and Lugia were technically new additions, like 2 months ago, I believe. But the Beasts feel like they've been around forever in these research breakthroughs. And I've heard stories from some people of just how they constantly continue to get the one Pokemon they don't want, week after week after week. And that can be a bit discouraging. So, Niantic, on the 0.0000001 chance you're listening to this, let me level with you. I don't think the concept of making a grab bag of legendary Pokemon is a bad idea for field research breakthroughs. People have complained in the past about how boring it is to get the same thing for an entire month. And randomization, in theory, is a good way to spice this up. However, I've mentioned this before and I'll mention it again. I feel like you could be doing it a little bit better. Some people would have hated it. I probably would secretly hate it, but I would shut up for the sake of the people who haven't had it yet. But you could afford to do a month of just the Regis, just of Reggie Ice, Steel, and Rock for a research breakthrough. Heck, if on top of the Regis you had 2 more legendary Pokemon that have not been in a research breakthrough grab bag, aka in the rotation for the past 6 months, half a year, that just clicked in my head. We've been dealing with grab bags for about half a year. But as I was saying, if we did that, that would have been fine too. You could have gotten away with that for 2 months. Because I liked it. When you think more about it, the concept of having the same research breakthrough for 2 months instead of just 1 month makes sense when we have a selection of Pokemon that could come out and is determined randomly. Granted, I still stand by my ideal way of doing this whole grab bag system that I've mentioned in the last podcast, like giving a month of the birds, giving a month of the beasts, or heck, like maybe extend it even 2 months. 2 months of the legendary birds, 2 months of the legendary beasts. But then I have to say 2 months of the Reggies. I don't want 2 months of the Reggie. But I know a lot of people could benefit from 2 months of the Reggies. Oh, the sacrifices I make for journalism. Cause I get an attic. You don't want to just put something that people want to get one, to get their Pokedex and be done. You want people to actually come back to field research for the entire month. And I'm not even saying that randomization is the wrong way to approach it. I just feel that there's a better way to do it. I get it's too late to go back and do the store system because you already had the legendary birds in the rotation for so long. You've had the beasts in rotation for so long at this point, and even Ho-Ho and Lugia been in rotation for so long. So while it would have been nice to just do this grab bag by themes to begin with, I get that it's a little too late to do it now. I just hope that we get something a little more drastic after April. Even if it's just for 1 month, do something drastic. Like, I like some of the ideas he had that weren't revolved around legendary Pokemon or brand new Dex entries he did in the past. Granted, it's not something I would want every month, but it's certainly enough to spice things up, like those Snorlax that we got. That was a pretty cool addition. I think some people have suggested doing Lapras. Lapras would probably be a cool one, because it's a bit more rare of a Pokemon. We've had playing events where people have had an opportunity to get it, but in general, Lapras is a rare Pokemon. So I think it's something you could do a research breakthrough around, especially if you give it a special move. I can understand if you don't want to give Lapras a legacy move again, the same way you gave Snorlax this legacy move for this breakthrough, because I just assumed that there was backlash at that, because that's the way this community works sometimes. But you could introduce a new move for Lapras during this event, or I mean that research breakthrough. That would make it exciting for people who already had Lapras, while giving people an opportunity to get Lapras. And besides, Lapras candy ain't a bad thing. Lapras isn't as relevant to the meta anymore now that Mana Flying is a thing. But with that said, that probably leaves more opportunity to introduce Lapras in this sort of method without it breaking the game. Overall though, I just think that these research breakthroughs just need a little shake up, even if it's just for a month. And then we can go back to this grab bag system of legendary Pokemon. That would give us a chance to restart it. Like, we've had it with so many Pokemon in the past. We could go back to a few months of just making themes around research breakthroughs. And it doesn't even have to be like each set of the legendary trio, like I keep suggesting. We could get a little more creative with it. Like, as long as there's one legendary Pokemon in that grab bag rotation, I think it could work out. Like, we could have an ice... You know what? Let's get creative. We could have grab bag themes that revolve around a particular type, let's say, instead of just a set of trios. So instead of just doing a month of Articuno, Moltres, and Zapdos, we could have an ice type theme. It could kind of be what we did when the legendary birds first came in the research breakthrough, but add more Pokemon to the mix. From what I recall, it was either with the legendary birds or legendary beasts, where all the research was themed around that Pokemon. Like, with Articuno, the Pokemon you got from those research were water types, and the research breakthrough was Articuno. What if we did that again? But instead of just having Articuno in the research breakthrough, we also included Suicune and Regice. Honestly, that's probably the worst example, because Suicune and Regice are the two things I would want the least out of legendary Pokemon from a research breakthrough. But if we do it that way, we could do it with other types as well. Like, we could do a summer month, where a bunch of the Pokemon you get from research rewards include fire and ground types and rock types. And if you do that, you can make the research breakthroughs either randomize or rotate between Moltres, Entei, and Regirock. And then we could have a more industrialized theme for a month. You could get research prizes of Pokemon that fit the industrialized theme that also had shiny forms. Like, we could do Megamite because it's both an electric and a steel type and has the odds of being shiny. Heck, let's throw Aeron in there because even though it's the commonest heck Pokemon, it does technically have a shiny chance, so someone's gonna be looking for that shiny Aeron with good IVs. And once you've picked out your theme for electric and steel types to fit that, you can make the research breakthrough revolve around Entei, I must really like Entei. I meant to say Zapdos, Raikou, and Registeel. And actually, I just thought of this on the spot, but it actually works perfectly. And I think if we do it this way, it would may be worthwhile to do 2 months of it. I'm pretty sure not everyone's going to be on that boat, but possibly. Especially if we keep the research that you get and not just the research breakthroughs exciting by having a bunch of Pokemon that you can get from rewards just from your regular old research that has the shiny potential. I'm going to have to elaborate about this. Think about it a bit more in my own time and maybe make a retrospective episode just specifically on what I think about a theme for that. Because it almost works too perfectly. They may not all be the same type, but they kind of fit together when I think of it from this perspective. Like, Entei, Regirock, and Moltres all feel like they fit a similar theme. Zapdos, Raikou, and Registeel feel like they fit a theme. And Articuno, Suicune, and Regice all fit a theme. Sorry, I'm going to hesitate whenever I'm about to say I want Regice and Suicune in a box together, because personally, I want them as far away as boxes as possible, but you are always going to have people coming into the game and looking for these Pokemon. So there's always some market for them. But I think if we do things like this to keep it exciting, then this whole grab bag system won't be as bad. Again, I want to take some time to think about this on my own. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to dedicate an episode in the future specifically to talk about and speculate over types of ways they can make research for a month exciting again. And give specific examples of themes that I like to see them do. But I rambled on that way too long, so let me go through the rest of what's coming up. I think I actually finished. That was the last thing in particular that's currently going on. So let's talk a bit about things coming up in the future. I think the most prominent thing we gotta keep in mind is Trico Community Day, because that is about a week away. Which is pretty unbelievable to me. First and foremost, though, I want to bring up the fact that this is going to be the first Community Day where Niantic has changed the time frame. And while I could go into what those timeframes were, that's part of the thing. It was all over the place. Like, some areas would have it as early as 11 a.m. Some areas, like mine, have them from 2 to 5. But from this community day going forward, at least until they announce a change otherwise, community days will now be going from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. local time. So it's 3 p.m. for me, it's 3 p.m. for you, whether you live on the other side of the country or over in Australia. And while the 2 to 5 time frame in my time zone worked better for me personally, I can see how this change will be better off for communities as a whole. Some regions would have their community days right in the middle of the day, and with summer coming around, that's a big no-no. If you're in a region that's so hot, it might as well be a desert. So maybe putting it later in the day works out better for those people. Having it closer to the evening also makes it easier on people who work weekend shifts. At least those who work a typical 9 to 5 job. Sorry, graveyard and second shift. I don't make the rules. For everyone else though, maybe they'll actually get a chance to finish up their workday and still at least get an hour out for community day. I don't know, there's a lot of potential with putting it at this time frame, and we'll just have to see. There is a bit of a beef that I have about the time frame that goes beyond my personal interests. I wanted to save it for another time, but I'll just lay out the basics now. I know people who have obligations that will prevent them from doing anything on Saturdays, no matter the time frame. And I'll just say it, I have friends who have religious obligations on Saturday, and from what I understand about their religion, they can't even touch electronic devices for the entire time period of Saturday. I'm not sure exactly if it's for the entire day or not until very late on Saturday, but it's a time frame that, unless Niantic wants to have midnight community days, which I know is a bad idea of itself, they would never get to play Pokemon Go on Saturdays. And we've had so many of these community days and similar events on Saturdays, when back in the old days they used to rotate them between Saturday and Sunday. Unless they do some of these community days on Sunday, this is going to screw out a lot of people, because some people work Mondays through Friday, some people work Saturday, some people work Sunday. Everyone's going to be a little bit different, and if you keep it the same in both date and time all the time, there's going to be some people who never get a chance to show up, compared to like some people not being able to make it some of the time. With that said, this time frame of 3 to 6 would really bother me personally if it was on a Sunday, but that just adds on to my point. There's not going to be one particular date that works for everyone in every region across the entire world. And I get the feeling the first response people have to this is, why not actually make it a community day, last the entire time frame, all day? And I hate to be the one to say it, but that won't work. Part of what gets everyone out together as a community is the fact that it's under a specific time frame. If you don't do it in a specific time frame, people aren't going to come out together in a community. They're just going to come out when it's most convenient for them, and then you lose the community aspect of community day. It's not an easy question, I'll admit. Or it's not an easy solution to find one community day time frame that works for everyone. But that's why I want to emphasize the fact that they should be open to flex around that date. Even if the only thing they do is confirm that they're keeping the 3 to 6 time frame, but some months it'll be on Saturday and other months they'll be on Sunday, that's good with me. Because I know we can't find something that works for everyone. but we can at least keep it open. So if there's one day that never works for someone, they'll at least have an opportunity in the future to do something similar. With that said, I think that's why the whole lunch hour thing that you're experimenting was a good idea, even if I personally know I'll never take advantage of it. Having more options for people with different work schedules is always a good thing. But I've been off tangent way too long. I just couldn't save that for its own episode, otherwise I never get it out of my chest. Let me drive things back over to Treacle Community Day just to go over what's actually going on for this event. 3 hours of Treacle spawns, per usual. Nothing official been said about Shiny Treacle being a thing, but they never officially say the Shiny Pokemon is going to be a thing, but they always do, so it's a safe bet. A 1/4 egg catch distance, and your typical 3-hour lures. And Treacle, when evolved to a Sceptile, is going to have a special move. The special move hasn't officially been revealed yet, but I'd eat my hat if it's not Frenzy Plant. Like, they've done that for every starter up to this point. Frenzy Plant, Blast Burn, Hydro Cannon are moves special to the starter Pokemon. So if they don't give it that special move during this community day, they have to give Sceptile Frenzy Plant eventually. So while I have heard people throw around ideas of different things they can do, I will bet money that it will be Frenzy Plant. But that isn't really a bad thing. Back before Community Day even started, I believe, back when Treacle and its evolution were first showing up in the game, Sceptile actually showed up a bit on a raid guide despite having a 3-charge move. So I think giving Sceptile Frenzy Plant will give it a huge advantage in the grass type meta. Unfortunately, I just haven't done my homework to actually see if that's going to lead up to anything. I just assumed, like, if Sceptile is going to be a big deal of Frenzy Plant, that everyone would be talking about it by now. But I haven't heard anyone talk about it. And yet, it doesn't make sense that Sceptile wouldn't be great with Frenzy Plant. So I'll have to get back to you guys next podcast or so. No, shoot, that'll be too long. I'll at least get back to you guys on social media after I look into how good Frenzy Plant Sceptile is. Worst case scenario, by the time we talk again, we'll know for sure how good it is because it'll be in the game with that move. And thanks to all my tangents, we're already half an hour of recording. I'm still going through the events in the game. So I'll quickly run through the things that we've just had recently. Oh no, I almost forgot about the Safari Zone. Well, that's not going to be until a month from now, so I'll just briefly go over what we know. Singapore is having a Safari Zone. That's mostly what we know. To be unknowns like a typical Safari Zone. There is a regional. That regional is Tropius. There's going to be increased spawns of Pokemon including Shuckle. So people are speculating that Shuckle is going to be a shiny Pokemon they introduced during that time frame. That's all we know for sure. I don't want to get myself too hyped over Shuckle because we don't have an official statement about it yet. But that does seem to be the most likely thing. Like, especially out of the Pokemon they show on the screenshot already, they, at least in their promotional image, they have Unknown, Tropius, Lapras, Shuckle, Dratini, and Alolan Executor. And out of all those Pokemon, only 2 of them, or 3 of them, have a reasonable shot of being the shiny. Lapras, which actually I think Shiny Lapras is technically in the game already, so that rules out that one. Execute, but I got a feeling with the upcoming Equinox event, that has the potential to be shiny. Oh shoot, I didn't talk about it because it's not on the Go Ranger app, but that's a cool thing too. So I guess with that out of the way, that does rule out Shuckle as the most likely thing, but I could see them throwing a curveball and making Executor or Execute. Maybe they'll just do shiny on Executor. You never know for sure. Point being, Shuckle is the most likely thing, but I don't want to get myself too excited yet. And I guess I'll have to pull up Pokemon Go real quick and briefly go over the Equinox event, because that actually starts up this week. Like, by the time this podcast goes up, it'll started or be about to start. So, from March 19th to March 26th, we'll be celebrating the Equinox within Pokemon Go. There'll be a focus on grass-type Pokemon like Oddish, Execute, Sunkern, and Shroomish. They'll all be appearing more in the wild. Lunatone and Solrock will switch places. Swap places! Shoutouts to you if you get that reference. So, like, in my region, the US region, and all the areas above and below it, Lunatone will swap back to Solrock, and for your other half of the world, Solrock will swap with Lunatone. So I'll be getting Solrock again. People on the other side of the world will be getting Lunatone pretty soon. If you haven't already got sick of Lunatone with how they seem to boost up their spawn rates every single event, I've had people explain to me why that is. But the whole fact that they swap back and forth pretty much every 2 times a year kind of rules out why I think that's a good idea. But just because I don't agree with the idea doesn't mean I can't see why they do it. Essentially, people have complained about the past when they go on, for example, if you're in the US and you make a trip to Europe, if you're a huge Pokemon Go fan, it would suck if you wouldn't be able to get those regionals while you were in the area. And in the past, event spawns used to drown out the regionals, so they fixed that by boosting up the spawns for regional-based Pokemon during events. So that's why, like, I, for example, last saw Lunatone just chilling during Pokemon Go Day, Pokemon Day, and I've seen them a couple more times in large numbers during things like community days and other events. My personal argument is they swap more often than any other regional, so it's not like you're never going to get to see them again if you don't catch one while you're out. Eventually it'll come to you. And speaking of coming to you, we've had events where Lunatone and Solrock both appear in raids. And while I get raids aren't accessible to everyone, they tend to be lower level raids, so I feel like they'd be accessible to the majority of people. With that said, I'd rather them overboost regional spawns than people actually go through the trouble of making a trip to the other side of the world and not actually get them while they were on their vacation, whether it be for Pokemon Go or just doing Pokemon Go on the side. Tangent aside, there's more to this event than just spawns. Grass-type Pokemon are also supposedly going to be more available in raids, like they weren't available enough in the wild. Sorry, grass types are probably some of the least exciting things for me, because I think my biomes are just based around grass types already. But I'm pretty sure they can find some exciting grass types to throw into raids, like Alolan Exeggutor is a Pokemon that everyone loves, and it's technically a grass dragon. That'd be cool to have in raids. I'm probably the only one, but I wouldn't mind seeing Breloom return to raids. And with Shroomish spawns being up, that's, while maybe redundant, I wouldn't be surprised. See, I'm trying to think of other exciting grass types they could throw out there. Guess they could do the starters if they run out of ideas. But we'll see very soon what the raids actually are. And last but certainly not least, before I go to the last thing, there's one more thing. There's going to be more field research where we get grass type Pokemon for the reward. Which reminds me of a tangent I had earlier on the podcast. Now I really gotta go through with that idea for a mini cast. But for real this time, last but not least, for this particular event, new moves are going to be added to the game permanently. Acid Spray and Leaf Tornado. Now, I'll have to save my opinions on them introducing, how often they've been introducing new moves into events for another day, but this will be interesting in the fact that in the main games, Acid Spray and Leaf Tornado both had stats related effects. Acid Spray in the main games would lower your defense, or one of the two defenses, but in Pokemon Go, if they decide to implement it, they probably would do a defense debuff. Leaf Tornado is a real interesting move in the fact that it kind of acts like how Power Up Punch was introduced. You do your attack, or maybe I'm mixing it up, but I think Leaf Tornado actually reduces your stats once you use it. However, in the main series games, there's ways to work around this with abilities in that to actually have it play a opposite effect of what it's supposed to do, resulting in your own stats gain boost. That's where I got that confusion from, sorry. So I think there's the fact that these moves that are introduced are going to be more moves that play around with stats. And honestly, that's what keeps all these new moves they keep introducing exciting, to be honest. I'm kind of wondering if we're just getting to the point where they're introducing too many new moves too quickly, because it's pretty cool the first time they introduced new moves, because Ancient Power, Silver Wind, and the other one were the very first times they introduced status effects into the game. And when they introduced Power Up Punch, that was pretty exciting because that was a move with a status effect that people could actually implement into battling. These I can see as stats debuffs, which could be add to an interesting element into the game itself. But I'm just wondering how many times they can keep introducing new moves before we get sick of them. No, I'm probably just not as excited as most people for it because I don't do enough PvP. Welp, all aboard the tangent train again. Because I just had to Google Leaf Tornado just to make sure I knew what I was talking about. And it's a good thing I did because I think I got it mixed up with a different move. In the main games, Leaf Tornado was a grass type attack that had a chance of lowering the foe's accuracy, a stat that we don't really see in play in Pokemon Go. Essentially, a Pokemon's accuracy determined whether or not a move would hit the opponent, which I don't think Pokemon Go is ready yet. Pokemon Go doesn't really have those sorts of elements in it where moves can miss in that. So it just raises my concern that Leaf Tornado is just going to be an ordinary grass type move. Which, considering I was already on the fence of whether keeping introducing new moves one event after another was a good idea, it's a little bit concerning. It's either going to lead into something really revolutionary that we have no idea what's coming, or the complete opposite end where it's just an ordinary move that we overhype just because we're so used to new moves that they introduce event after event having a special side effect. Something that actually changes the meta of battling and that. But as I said before, this event will be coming to the game very soon, so we'll find out soon enough exactly how Leaf Tornado is implemented, if it's implemented in any sort of special way at all. And while I did say Leaf Tornado is an exclusive move to a Pokemon we don't even have in the game yet, I was sort of right on that aspect, but not to the full extent. We've already got confirmation of 2 Pokemon in Pokemon Go that are going to learn the move, and when I think more about it, they can learn those moves in the main game. I just don't identify them with those moves as often. Leaf Tornado is going to be moves that Victory Bell and Shift Tree can learn, while Acid Spray, as I was talking about earlier, can be learned by a pretty wide variety of Pokemon. The ones that they list in this news app include Arbok, Victory Bell, Tentacruel, Muck, both regular and Alolan, Quagsire, Quillfish, Octillery, and Swalot. And before I leave this topic, I want to jump back on the tangent train again to go and stop being around the bush and talk about that Pokemon. In the 5th generation was the debut of the move Leaf Tornado, and I associate it with a Pokemon because one of the starters from the 5th generation, Snivy, learned Leaf Tornado while leveling up. Now, I'm not saying that 5th gen is coming anytime soon. It's not. But I just wanted to give some background on why I associate Leaf Tornado with that particular Pokemon, because I used Snivy in one of my early playthroughs of Black and White, so I'm well familiar with using Leaf Tornado until it got so weak that I just replaced it with some other move, probably the one I'm thinking of, where it did a lot of damage, but it had the side effect of lowering stats, but Snivy could learn an ability that reversed that, so you would actually get stats boosts instead of stat reductions every time you used the move, and made it pretty broken if left unchecked. Leaf Storm, that's the one I'm thinking of. Leaf Storm is a move that's really powerful, but normally you have a stats reduction every time you use it. But Snivy really played around with that idea. Granted, Pokemon Go does not have abilities, and that's not even the move that's being introduced in the game. The move being introduced in the game is Leaf Tornado. But I figure if I didn't get all of that tangent out of my head now, I'd be going back on the tangent train at a more inconvenient time. Wow, I really must have wanted to talk, because we're really close to the hour mark, and I haven't even talked about my experiences lately with Pokemon Go. Though if you can tell from my voice, it's kind of tired and a bit strained even after all the water I've been drinking. So I think it's a good time to break away and come back to recording at a better, more convenient time. Plus, I'll admit, I haven't had a chance to do too much lately, because I've had a job interview and had to work overtime to make up for the time I left for the job interview. So I haven't even done any Rayquaza raids with those going on. I'm really hoping to get a couple Rayquaza raids done this weekend, maybe even by the time I get back to recording a podcast. But I'll let you know what happens. So I'm back. I'm a little bit drained though, so I just kind of didn't want to put this off. Want to do it, maybe not the best time to do it, but I know it's gonna bug me more if I don't do it now. So here's the thing. The good news is that I did go out and raid. The bad news is I did not enjoy myself doing it. To save you all from a rant, today just reminded me of the days when raiding felt like a chore and not like fun entertainment. Too much driving from one place to another. Too much stress in trying to plan and organize. Because that's what happens when things aren't structured. And you don't set something from a set time period to a set time period. People spread themselves out too far, and you don't get enough to do anything. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I did get one Rayquaza today, but in the process I let a Rayquaza run, a Dialga run, and 3 raids that I can't even count for completing. Can we get a little bit into weather boosted Pokemon while we're at it? I mean, it's not like trying to catch a raid boss is frustrating enough. Normally I don't have any issues with them, but usually I battle with friends, or battle in situations where I get a lot of Pokeballs to work with. Today, I guess, was just a small slice of humble pie to remind myself how dumb the raiding process actually is, if you're not in a situation where you can do 20 or more over the course of a weekend. It's all good old things to weather boosted Pokemon, boosting the CP up to the point where the catch rate is stupid to work with. And it actually matters if I get 8 or 13 Pokeballs to throw at the raid boss. Yes, weather boosted Pokemon are a lot better because they're at a higher level, less Stardust to power them up, overall more powerful, but is it really worth it if they keep running from you because their CP is too high to catch? I personally think not, but I know that's going to be an unpopular opinion. And I'm just going to get this all on my chest now, because otherwise I never will. Normally, I avoid the situations that I have normally stressing with raids by stopping by a college that's a long way home from work and doing them there, because at that place, as long as I get to a raid boss egg before it hatches, there's plenty of people to work with catching, no having to stress over Facebook Messenger or any other third-party app that just makes more pings off my phone to tick me off. No driving. I just get to play the darn game. However, I couldn't do that today because I work from 8 to 5-ish. Raids tend to wrap up around 6 o'clock, so on a normal day I just barely get over there before all the raids are done. This week I had to work overtime, so I missed the raid window completely. So I'm forced to rely on the few and far pings in between of people wanting to do raid just for a glimmer of hope to be able to do a raid at all. And that's all I'm going to do on that, because otherwise I'm just going to rant forever, get people yelling at me, telling me, no, you're wrong, and I like to keep things happy around here, to be honest. Just had to get that much out of my chest so I can actually move on. On a happier note, at least I don't have to worry about catching another Dialga, because I didn't one of the previous times I was out there. So that was all pretty good. I think I got quite a bit of the lucky things that have happened to me the past couple weeks on the editing queue. So I'll probably have little vlogs for those videos coming up this week or next week up over on my YouTube channel, because I am trying to catch up on Pokemon Go vlogs, at least get all my current to date stuff that's sitting on my phone, including the Florida trip I had edited and uploaded before my next playthrough project, or at least I get a good chunk of that stuff done, because I feel like I'm never going to get caught up on the old end of the Pokemon Go vlog, but at least I can get caught up on the new end-ish. So you'll be able to see bits and chunks of the various highlights I've been doing up over on there in the upcoming weeks. Man, it's been a long time since I last talked about how things have been. I don't even know where to start. I guess, first and foremost, I did actually go up to Universal Studio Florida since the last time we've actually talked about my Pokemon going. But I think I'm going to save a full discussion on that for its own side series, just because it's that intense, that much going on. Got a lot of video clips to go through. Maybe instead of podcasting, I'll just put some overall thoughts and comments on the end of that particular set of videos whenever I get around to recording it. I pretty much jumped right from that to Clan Pearl Community Research Day. That was pretty nice. I did get a lot of helpings of the Clan Pearls, and unfortunately I'm saving them all for a friend to trade with, and I still haven't traded with them, so they're still clocking up my inventory. But still, it's a pretty good time. I just wish that of the 3 Clan Pearls I evolved, at least one of them would have been a Huntail. But at least I got Pokemon to work with. Oh yeah, I guess one thing I can mention about the Florida trip now is that I really stocked up on Pokemon from that area. Regionals, which I'm a little concerned about being too vocal about because I do want to make sure I save some for friends, but I also don't know how many I have to go around, and it's a little bit of mess with that. But one thing I am trying to trade away are a bunch of the Pokemon that are not regionals that I caught up there, because I caught them because I thought it'd be the same as like getting them from an alone egg, where if I trade them with a friend, I get extra candies for them. Problem is, I go up to Boston in a couple weeks and I'm gonna be overstocked on Pokemon again. Like, man, I even bought more Pokemon storage space than I'm proud to admit. And I'm filled back up to the top still just because I'm holding on to all these Florida Pokemon to trade away. Maybe I can at least clear out some of that over the weekend. Maybe focus more on that over raiding, because one is clearly less stressful than the other. Oh, and I am looking forward to going to PAX East. First and foremost because it's going to give me an opportunity to actually meet up with some of my friends outside the web, and that'll be pretty chill. Also gives me a second opportunity to meet up with people that I would normally meet up in Con Bravo, so usually people that I only see once a year. Pretty hyped for those things alone, but in the sense of Pokemon Go, it's going to be pretty hyped because the past couple of years at PAX East, there have been unknowns. And guess what's the only thing missing from my Johto Dex is? It's not Smirgle, because during Pokemon Day, I pretty much went out of work, decided just to take a quick walk around the office, or the buildings outside the office, just to see what's around. Third word tab I click, shiny. Then I go home just to take some AR pictures. My Smirgle pops up. Granted, I haven't seen one since, but I haven't really been grinding AR photos either, just been doing them every now and then. That does remind me, I gotta find some time, preferably when they don't have a lot of things going on in Pokemon Go, to just go out to somewhere nice, walk around and pull out Pokemon, take some AR shots, because this is a feature that was made for me, yet I feel like I wasn't able to really implement it at all because there's way too many other things going on today, to the point where if I'm going out, I'm going to be doing some of those other things in Pokemon Go, not taking pictures. It's a bit of a shame. But back on the tangent in regards to PAX East. Yeah, every year at PAX, there have been unknowns popping up, and that's the only thing missing from my Johto Dex. Unknown's supposed to be a really rare Pokemon. The rare spawn point, the rare spawns of any Pokemon in the game, except for events and apparently conventions. Because past couple conventions, not the one I go to, of course, but ones like PAX East, I've heard about them having unknowns spread and flow around everywhere. And it'll be nice to finally get that Dex entry complete, and who knows, if I'm feeling pretty good, maybe I'll stock up on unknowns to actually trade with people closer around home. I'm sure they're going to be a big ticket trading item. And if nothing else, I can at least help some other people who have a similar struggle to me of just never being able to find one out in the wild. One thing I didn't get were Eevees. Like, I only got only one flower Pikachu and one flower Eevee during that whole time period of Pokemon Day. So I was really hunting around for people to trade with for the flower Eevees afterwards, because fun fact, when they evolve, they keep their little flower crown, and I just find it adorable, to the point where it makes me want to have them all. In doing some of those trades, I got pretty lucky. Like maybe the second or so EVA trade, I got a perfect IV Lucky Eevee, and it's sitting at a pretty 856 CP. Point where it's so good and so perfect, I don't even want to evolve it. I want to save it for when Leafeon and Glaceon come out. Preferably Leafeon. But that's the thing. And I did get another lucky Eevee in a trade I did the day later, and I got myself a lucky Shieldon. Unfortunately, I'm an idiot. And just earlier on this week, I finally got enough candies to evolve it. I found a Shieldon in the area that I walk at work, which is not... I never seen anything like that there. Caught that, and I was so excited about finally having enough candies, I hit the evolve button on the stupid Shieldon I just caught, and not the lucky one. Oh well, the lucky one's still sitting around. I still got the Dex entry. I guess I'll just have a Shieldon to trade to people for fodder in that. And on the tangent of luckies, I've had a few other lucky trades since we last met. Guess the notable ones are Swampert, which would be cool, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get it with the Community Day move now, so I'm not sure what to make of that, other than that it was pretty funny. Another lucky Larvitar, which I'm honestly at the point where I have so many Tyrantars that I can't even keep track of them. And I don't think this Larvitar has perfect attack IV, so I don't even know if I want to spend the candy to evolve it. I do have... What am I with? Well, I'm humble bragging. What am I with Tyrantars? Yeah, that's what I thought. I have 2 lucky Tyrantars, and one of them is shiny. One of them is shiny, but I keep it under the 1500 CP range for PvP, and this other one doesn't have perfect attack, but it is in the higher range. And just looking at the Tyrantars I have, like 6, 12, 13 here. I mean, I can't even keep track of the ones I have. I think I have 15, but one is just a random one I caught from trading, or caught from a raid, and I'll probably trade it away. Like, I don't even want to go into my Tyranitar first world problems, because I feel like everyone will hate me if I go into every single detail about why my Tyranitar collection is so ridiculous. But yeah, I went on that tangent because I was talking about the things I got. Got another lucky Swinub. Too little too late. But if it was a little bit higher in attack IVs, I would evolve it for sure. Got a Pinecone that's lucky, which I'm not sure what to do with. And probably the funniest thing, like someone just traded me their Chansey at 53 CP for the candy. And it's lucky. And I still haven't yet to figure out what I'm actually going to do with it, because it feels like a crime to release or transfer a lucky Chansey, but it also feels like a crime to invest that much Stardust into powering it up. So let me know in the comments below what you think I should do with this lucky Chansey. I say that sarcastically, but I mean, I'm not gonna not listen, if that makes any sense. And speaking of stupid lucky things, not to spoil too much about my Florida trip, but one of the things there, I actually got lucky enough to find a shiny Meditite when I was up in Florida before the fighting event started. I think you know where this is going. Like a couple days before the dojo fighting event ended, I mean, I was just sitting at my lunch break. A Pokemon popped up next to me. I check it, and it's another pink onion. Yay! There's like 3 other fighting types that I didn't have shinies for. And which one I get? I get the shiny of the one I already have. Yeah, talk about first world problems. even in the sense of a video game, which arguably is already first world problem-ish. So, as I think I dubbed it, February was the month of sparkle, because I feel like I got more shinies in February than any other month put together. You know what? Before we end things off, let me just go through this and just skim through all the shiny Pokemon I've got in the month of February. First, February 5th. I was walking at work one day and I clicked a Caterpie. And it turned into a shiny Caterpie. I evolved it to a Metapod, and I don't know why I'm waiting, but I'm waiting to evolve it into a Butterfree. Then, 10 days later, I'm walking around at the college that I mentioned before. I click at Love This, and it sparkles. So I got myself a shiny Love Disc. Also on that same day, when I get home and open my Melton box, I get my first shiny Melton of 404 CP. Then we got the shinies in Swine Up Community Day, which I won't really count because I was sitting at the airport waiting to go to Florida for most of that time. But for the fun of it, let's count them up. 2, 4, 6 shiny Swine Ups, which is pretty good considering my situation at the time. Imagine how many more if I was actually out trying to grind them. Then, while I was out in Florida, I did open a Melton box and got another shiny Melton. Then I got that shiny Metatype I mentioned before. And, oh yeah, on that same day, as I'm walking out of the park for probably the last time, I click a Pinecone and it's shiny. So, just over the course of 2 days, I got 4 shinies. And then there was the whole Clan Pearl community day that had... I don't know why I call it community day, but after that, the Clan Pearl research day. They were real generous with the shinies in that one, so... I have like 6 shiny Clan Pearls. 3 of them which are now shiny Gorobus because RNG loves to troll me as well. Then that Rattata I mentioned before. Then another shiny Melton. No, I did not get 2 shiny Meltons on the same day. That is a lie. The calendar on my game is lying to me. I did not get 2 shiny Meltons in a single day. And I guess it doesn't count because it was in March, but then there was that Metatype I mentioned before. Overall, yeah, not including events, I got in 3, 5, 8 shiny Pokemon, not including Community Day and Phoebus Day. That is why I dubbed February the month of Sparkle. And I'll never have shiny luck that good ever again. Nope. I used it all up. I think I went all over the place for a while. I know there's a lot I forgot to mention, but a lot has happened in a month, and I guess I'll just talk about the rest of the stuff in between the episodes of the podcast. Which, between my YouTube channel and the place that you found this podcast on, shouldn't be too hard to find. Speaking of finding me, why don't I go through my housekeeping and my plugs. If you enjoyed what you hear, be sure to like it, favorite it, comment, leave a rating, all depending. Just do whatever you can to show your love and spread the word on wherever you saw this on. If you want to see more stuff I do on YouTube from the Pokemon Go footage I upload, to the playthroughs of other games that I go through, you can check me on YouTube. If you can't find me by searching JackitK, you can put in a URL. It's a little bit wonky though. It's youtube.com/Jackit, spelled the same way as my username elsewhere, but instead of a K, it's KONG. Just because that's what my username used to be way back in the day when I made my YouTube channel, and it's been condensed since then, but that's a story for another time. Twitter, I've mentioned before, but you can find me at JackitStuff. Heck, if you like live streams, you can find me on Twitch at JackitK. Let's see, what else can I plug? There's Instagram. I'll bring that up because if you like seeing Pokemon Go AR shots, that's where I upload the majority of my Pokemon Go shots. Let me double check the URL on that while I am thinking of it. And it's instagram.com/JackitK, but instead of just being a K at the end, it's KAY. I'll try to have show notes for as many of these as possible, just so it's a little bit more simple. Good lord. There was one more that was on my mind that I'm drawing a blank on now. I do have a website where you can find all this and more, but I don't have a full URL for it quite at the moment. If you go to my Twitter though and check my profile, you should be able to find a link to that website there. At the very worst case scenario, you can do that and find everything else you want to know about me on the web. Yeah, I guess I could plug the Patreon, like that's a thing I have, but I'm a bit more shy with plugging that because there isn't really too much to it. But if you do feel like supporting me in a financial sense, and I will take any money that I earn off that and put it towards my projects, whether it be improving my streaming process or buying the games for my first through, it will all go back to you guys in the content I create. That's just Patreon JackitK. That was not too hard. I'm a little more hesitant to plug it because I'm not as diligent as other people who run a Patreon are about all the exclusive features, but I do post previews. I try to give as much early access to certain content as I can, and I also do like little drawing previews on there as well. You can find more details of what you get from Patreon by checking out the Patreon page. Oh, I think that's all of it. Thank you all for tuning in. Now, if you excuse me, I gotta get to editing this, which that is gonna be a job on itself with this hour and 12-minute recording session before I plug it down, not including all the times I pause the recording to recuperate my thoughts and random stuff like that. Take care.